Hey Beer Geeks, and welcome back to my very cramped kitchen. Today I'm going to do something which most of Instagram's already done, which is bake bread during lockdown. But we're going to be doing it with a difference. Obviously, we're going to be doing it with beer. And I know with a lot of recipes people claim you can't taste the beer in it. Well, with this, you definitely can. This is the craft beer channel, Beer Bread. So there are already some amazing bakers on YouTube, and I'm not going to try to compete with them. In fact, one of them is going to appear in this video because he gave me a hand when I had an issue with the second recipe we're going to go through today. But the first one I wanted to do, we actually did it as one of the first videos we ever made, and I'm redoing it, slightly perfected recipe, because basically you can have oven fresh beer bread in an hour with no yeast, no kneading, no nothing. All you need is 350 grams of sifted flour, a big pinch of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 330 ml, which is a British beer bottle, of beer. In terms of the beer you should be using, I definitely recommend a lager. With both of these bread recipes, 100% decocted lager is the best thing. That's where you're going to get the most malty, caramel, deeper notes from. The method is crazy simple. You get your flour, you sift it. You add your salt, you add your sugar, you add your beer, and you mix it. We're going to put that into a loaf tin, and then we're going to pour some melted butter over the top. And what that does is ensure a really thick, crunchy crust. And that is it. You stick it in the oven and you bake it for about 50 minutes. I'd say keep an eye on it from about 40, and you just want that lovely golden kind of crust. So if you do it right, and let's face it, it's pretty hard not to do it right, you should end up with something like this. Let's get a closer look at this bad boy. I mean, look at it. Look at that crust. Look at that crunch. You know that's going to be amazing. Listen for this. I'll put my microphone close. And the best way to consume this is toast. Toast with Marmite on, or Vegemite, something savoury. Peanut butter's amazing. And the crispiness of it is just insane. So that is a dirt simple but absolutely delicious bread that's perfect for making toast and perfect for dunking in stews and soups. But you couldn't really make a sandwich out of that. It would probably be a bit too thick, and let's face it, that's a tiny sandwich. We need some rising. So it's time to level up and make something properly sandwich worthy. Now, getting hold of bread flour during lockdown, it turned out, was incredibly hard. It was basically gold dust as Instagrammers all over the world decided that they could be bakers too. Judging by the photos, not all of them can. And it turns out that as soon as I threw beer into the mix, nor could I. So it seems that making beer bread is a little bit tricky. It requires some different things, some different techniques, or some certainly different timings. So after a couple of failed attempts at making this and not really getting the rise that I needed or wanted, I got in touch with one of the most scientific foodies on the internet and one of the best YouTubers in the world, my friend Alex from French Guy Cooking.
Hey Jonny, what's up?
And he gave me almost Mr. Miyagi style advice.
Bread doesn't work. It's not like a clock, basically.
On how to bake bread properly and what I might need to do if I wanted to use beer for that process. So let's have a little listen to what he has to say, and then we can work out how we're going to do it.
Right off the bat, I'm concerned about the alcohol in beer, to be honest.
Right.
Like, because there's a bit of alcohol in beer. I'm not teaching this to you. So have you been like mixing alcohol, I mean beer directly with yeast?
Yeah, so I'm literally replacing the water. So most recipes are like add your yeast to your water. I'm just adding yeast to beer.
Yeah, that could be a problem. Can you show me the bread again? Yeah, because there are bubbles. I feel like you don't have any big bubbles, which means that the proofing wasn't amazing. But you've got bubbles, which means that you didn't kill all the yeast. Maybe you kill some of the yeast, and maybe the remaining ones need more time. How long have you been proofing this for? In the first proofing?
So batch 1, I proofed it as the recipe I was following. I followed a Jamie Oliver recipe, and it said proof for about an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense. I mean, unless you're proofing in Brazil, for example, or in a tropical country, an hour is always too short, especially in the UK. In the UK, come on, just go for a week first. But honestly, you could double that up. Especially, just imagine the amount of yeast that could be damaged by the alcohol first. So it goes half the population, for example, in terms of yeast. And then it needs to replicate it. It needs to multiply in the dough. So unless the dough has really puffed up like a balloon, has doubled in size, just wait. 4 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. After proofing the dough one time, and before the second proofing, you need to shape the dough. So give it its final shape and impart a bit of tension in the dough so that it stays together. It stays like a nice ball instead of just flattening out like a pancake.
So I took everything that Alex had told me and applied it to a classic, really simple Jamie Oliver bread recipe. Just straight up swapping out the water for a nice decocted lager like I used in the previous soda beer bread. You need to get your yeast going straight away. That's the first thing, that's the most important thing, that's what needs the time. So, you start off with 2 tablespoons of dried yeast and a tablespoon of granulated sugar. You put that into a pint glass, probably not a 2/3 glass like I've used here, and you add 330 ml of your decocted lager. Give that a good mix up, stick it somewhere warm. You could wait for a little bit, check that the yeast is actually working, check that it's going. Next step is you get 500 grams of good strong bread flour. I've sifted that with a big pinch of fine salt, and I've made a well in the middle into which I'm going to put my hopefully now ever so slightly active beer, yeast, sugar combination. So you pour it into the well you've made and you mix it around slowly, bringing in the flour until you start to form a dough. It can be messy, it can be ugly, you can believe at some point it's not going to work out, but it is. So long as you don't have a dam breaker situation and you keep those walls intact, it will come together, it will form a dough. Once it's doughy, get those hands in, ideally cover them in flour so they're not so sticky, and start to work it all together. Now at this point, most recipes will say keep working until you have a smooth dough. You're not going to have a smooth dough, that's not going to happen. You're going to have a stringy, slightly firm, really unbready kind of mix. And that's cool, so just bring it all together, flour it all over and put it into a bowl. Then, and here's the most important thing, this is the thing that cracked it for me, you're going to stick it in the oven with the light on. Now I know that sounds mental, but the light is generating just enough heat and the fan's going to kick out some cool air that it will get to about 30 degrees and you will have a really lovely temperature for your dough to rise. Once it's in there with a warm, damp tea towel over the top, that's where the life lesson from Alex comes in. Some things in life you just have to wait for. So an hour was clearly nonsense like it says in the recipe, but I didn't need to go 8 hours in the end once I'd started using the oven technique. Generally about 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours is probably enough depending on how healthy your yeast is, what state your flour's in and how warm you can get your oven. But 2 to 3 hours is what you should definitely put aside and you should end up with something like this. So it's kind of doubled in size, you can see it's a really beautiful little pattern under there where the fermentation has been happening. So I also didn't really understand the knocking back thing, but once Alex started talking about tension, I realized it's all about the shaping of the dough. It's not about knocking more air out, because you don't want to knock all the air out. It's about getting the shape that will give you maximum spring in the oven. And spring is basically how quickly that bread is going to quickly rise as the temperature goes up before the temperature gets too hot for it to rise any further and the crispness starts to form. So now we're going to use that classic technique that you see all the bakers doing of folding, stretching, and you're knocking that air out, getting it stringy, and eventually once you feel like the dough is a nice, still aerated but very smooth texture, then we're going to shape it and get what Alex was referring to, which is that tension that will make sure that when it rises we'll get that beautiful crust. Now what I've seen Alex doing in his videos is taking some of the corners and pulling it in and folding it over like that, so you create this kind of almost Japanese dumpling pattern on the bottom. Then you turn it over and you've got this lovely shape. And then that's going to need another proving so that it can form outwards like this into pretty much the size that we want it in the oven. There is going to be a bit of spring, but we can't expect that too much rise, so it's got to be there before it goes in. Okay, the proofing is over and probably overproofed to some extent if you can see the bubbles coming through the top, but that's still great news. So now I need to transfer it to a floured baking sheet as carefully as I can to keep that air still in. Once that's transferred safely, I'm going to flour the top of it. I'm going to put 2 slices in it to have a little bit less chaos on the top and hopefully help that crust. And then it goes into a preheated ceramic or cast iron pot. And this is called the Dutch oven method. And what it means is the moisture stays in, that's helping with the crust and helping with the spring. So I preheated that at 250, but I'm going to bake the actual loaf at 180. Okay, so as well as taking forever to proof, this also takes much longer to bake than a traditional water-based bread loaf. So this actually, even though it's pretty small, needs actually an hour in the oven. But I'd start checking it from about 50 minutes, a bit like the soda loaf. So it's time for the reveal. So doesn't that look absolutely perfect? Lovely crispy top. You know it's cooked because there's a nice hollow bottom as well. Let's slice this bad boy. So hopefully we're going to get a nice crumb, some nice bubbles from the proving. Nice and crispy. A little bit scared. Oh, look at that. Happy with that. So let's compare that with what I was showing Alex earlier. And you can see lots of proper bubbles, a nice, still pretty dense crust. But that's kind of what I'm looking for with the sandwich loaf. But there's lots of bubbles there. You can see it's risen much further than my first few drafts. Now, in my opinion, there is no better sandwich for oven fresh bread with a lovely malty, ever so slightly hoppy aroma as well, is a B.L.T. So let's make one of those. Now, how freaking good does that look? I am no baker, so the fact that I can do this means that you guys definitely can. It's crazy simple, it just takes longer to do, you just have to be a little bit more careful and you have to bake it for longer, but ultimately, it's dead simple. My mouth is watering at the prospect of this B.L.T. and there's a lovely hoppy, malty aroma and flavour to this that's perfect with the bacon. Let me know if you give it a try, guys. Marvelous.